Hey guys, so with the coronavirus upon us, we have a lot more time to do some painting and modeling. So I guess that is like the only benefit of this situation. So I decided to make a overview of the painting progress I have on my Dread Elf army. And on the table here you can see my entire collection of Dread Elves. Part of it has already been painted, part of it I'm going through it now. Um, yeah, so it's still going to take a lot of time, but we're getting there. The first way in which I painted this was when I was 16 year old, I think, more or less, and I was a little bit into the purple black kind of color scheme from Games Workshop. If you combine that with green grass bases, then I would say it doesn't really look very well. So I went for a different approach now. So I'm going for a black and blue color scheme. And you can see the first part of the army that has already been finished. I'm still unsure about the bases though, as I think I will still be adding some snow effects on these. But for now, it's still a kind of a work in progress piece. So on this picture, you can see my converted Dark Riders and the hunting chariots, together with Malice Darkblade on foot and a Dreadlord. Um, I'm quite happy with these, how these came out. So the steeds they all have are also this um, diamond type of print on them, and that's going to be a theme that's going to be repeated in the army also for some extra detail. Yeah, and then the blue and the black do work quite nicely. So I find that the blue really pops if you highlight it far enough. Yeah, and these Dark Riders, they were a joy to paint, as well as the Hunting Chariots. I think I enjoyed the Hunting Chariots even more than the Dark Riders, just because 20 models of Dark Riders is already quite a lot. Yeah, so then we go to the heroes of the army. So I have the smallest Darkblade guy, then a converted Dreadlord, converted BSB, and a converted either Dreadlord or Wizard on a steed. Um, Yeah, so these were also just a fun to put together. I had a lot of Bretonnian horses left, so that is actually the reason why I went for these. But these horses, they do lend themselves quite well for freehanding. So the Dreadlord, based on the Witch Elf, yeah, this is quite an intricate conversion actually, because it's a Witch Elf top with a Dread Knight lance and the bottom of a High Elf mounted hero that I still had lying around on a Bretonnian horse. So there is some Dread Elf part in that, but not a lot really. Yeah, and the freehand that she got is a bit more simple than the other two, because by this time I was a bit fed up with freehanding on the horses. You'll also get to see the Dark Acolytes that I did later, and there's also some freehand going on there. Yeah, so I think she turned out quite badass and quite alright. Then we'll go continue. So I also have Medusa. Medusa is also painted quite nicely, I would say, or at least to my estimate. And then we have the Dark Acolytes. So here you can see that I used the old Dark Rider models, and each of these have a semi-geometrical shape pattern on their steeds. And by the time I had to do the last one, I was really running out of options, and maybe it would have tied together the units a bit better if I had gone for one kind of space filling pattern for all of them, and maybe also some of the patterns don't really pop. But on the other hand, like this, it's a very characterful unit, and each of the models has a lot of character themselves. And from here you can also, in this picture, you can already see my Kraken. So this is my very cute little Kraken that I actually bought at the toy store for like €1. And it's part of a Disney collection or something. I even gave it a tattoo of with a heart saying "Mom." And in addition to that, I have my 3 Hydras. So in my mind, Hydras are way better pieces on the board than Krakens, as long as you don't face Alchemy or Pyromancy. just because the regen save basically doubles the wounds with respect to the Krakens. And the Krakens, they do have distracting hard target, but impacteds don't care about those. And still, yeah, distracting hard target, it gives you a little bit more survivability, but not too much. Yeah, so I do have 3 Hydras, and I like to play them with all this fast cav in a fully painted army, actually. But for now, we'll just continue to the rest. So I do have my Coltron Chariots painted up, one with a banner, so I can use it as a BSB. I have my Cauldron of Blood. I used to have a very small Cauldron of Blood, and then I realized that with Towering Presence, it's actually not really okay anymore to play just an infantry model's height variation of a Cauldron of Blood. So I thought I needed a new one, and I just bought the Games Workshop one. And got it painted up for a painting challenge. And I think it turned out quite right, though the models, the witch elves that Games Workshop nowadays produces are really different from the witch elves that they used to produce, and also in the terms of the skin. So normally Games Workshop produces mostly male models. These are female models, and then because of this, the cheekbones are less accentuated, and also the models themselves, the grooves in the models are less well accentuated. So it's really different to paint these models with respect to the former Games Workshop witch elves, and also any of the new models being male models. So that was a bit of a struggle for me, but I'm sure that next time I would be able to do it much better. Then we continue, so here we go to the dragons and the Pegasi and the Coltonites. I still have to, yeah, this is where I start focusing on the stuff that I haven't painted yet, really. So for some reason I have 2 dragons. I don't remember any time that you were able to put 2 dragons on the table, but I first had the small one in the front, and then I later thought that the one in the back was way more awesome, so I had to have it. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with the one in the front, but probably it's not gonna end up painted in the new color scheme. But so if you have some creative ideas, I think maybe it's a bit too much for a unit filler, but yeah, we'll see what happens to it. Hidden in there is also the BSB that I'm doing for a painting challenge now. So the painting challenge was to do a freehand banner, and you can see the results of my struggles in this picture. And I also continued just to paint the rest of the model, but I'm actually still waiting for some basing material also for this guy, so I can finish it. So then we continue our journey through my collection with the wall throwers. I still have to rebase these. I don't think they're very good in 9th age, just because you pay 180 points for 6 shots that hit on a 3+ with strength 4, or just a single bolt strength 6, but 180 points is a lot to pay for that. Whilst they only have resilience 4, only 4 wounds because they are elven bolt throwers. They are very fragile, and if your opponent intends to get rid of them, he can very easily get rid of them. So I don't know how they fit in this army. Like in the matchups where they really would matter, then your opponent is going to focus on them and easily remove them. And if you have a matchup where they don't really matter, they are going to do a lot of damage over the turns. But then the question is whether it's worth it. Like if you're shooting at Savage Orcs, it doesn't really matter if you kill off 3 Savage Orcs a turn or not. Yeah, then we go for the infantry. So I have a heck of a lot of infantry. So I actually arranged it into several lanes, and only the lane on the right has been painted. So yeah, I have a lot of stuff that I still want to paint. I also have some stuff that I don't necessarily actually want to paint. For example, these crossbowmen in the front here, I don't necessarily want to paint them, but I got them as part of an army deal that I got that complemented quite well the pieces that I had. So let's just focus on the lane on the right. So we have the crossbowmen, the witch elves, we have executioners, and the spearmen. So I believe I have about 20 painted crossbowmen. Right now 15 painted witch elves. 10 corsairs are also hidden in between there. Then I have right now 50 painted executioners and 50 painted spearmen. So the executioners are there because I want to run a list with above 60 executioners, like 3 blocks of 24. Could be cool. It's probably quite matchup dependent, but still these guys, they hit like a ton of bricks. And also I did some battle reports with 4 times 10 executioners, and I found that these units are really funny to play with. Just because any character that they encounter that is standard size, which are a lot of characters, are in quite a big amount of trouble if they just run into one of these units. So they very easily make their points back at least. And then here we have the spear elves that have been painted. So I was very happy that I could find exactly 48 or 47 spears that had all the same design, because I don't like an elven unit with different spear designs. So I was quite lucky to still have them in my collection. And I have a lot of spears of the alternative designs for Dread Elves if you're interested. Yeah, so these turned out quite well, I think. A lot of pleasure to paint these guys and see them on the table now. And then I have the witch elves. So the witch elves have also been painted. I think this is the unit that has actually been painted to the highest standard of mine. But I still need to do a lot of them. Because I also once bought a bag full of witch elves, so I still have like 50 left or so. So that is still gonna take a lot of time for me. Anyway, that's oh yo, I'm just forgetting that I still also have like 12 shades, and I recently got the Mangel Manhides Manflayers box. So this is an out of print box now, but I managed to find it for like 50 euros. And I thought, well, I'm gonna buy these someday, so 50 euros is not too bad, so I'll just grab them now. So these are also going to be painted up sometime, but I don't know when. So painting schedule for the coming weeks is mostly going to be just to finish off the executioners. Then probably I'll focus a bit on the cold ones, maybe the Pegasi after that, and the dragon. And the witch elves are going to be at the end of the queue probably. Yeah, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it also gave you some motivation to paint for yourself. And as always, see you next time.